She said the nanny was getting too close. She accused me of being too friendly. She fired her with tears and rage in her voice. But the whole time, she was the one sneaking around with the pool guy behind my back. To all my subscribers, thank you for your continued support. You're the reason these stories are being told. If you haven't already, please tap the bell and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. New episodes drop daily. Don't forget to like, comment, and share your thoughts. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button to help grow this channel and bring more real-life, emotionally gripping infidelity stories to life. I never imagined I'd be sitting here, months later, telling the world about how everything fell apart, because of a nanny, and a pool guy. But this is my truth, and I need to get it off my chest. My name's Ethan. I'm a 38-year-old father of 2 living just outside of Phoenix, Arizona. Life wasn't perfect, but it was stable. I worked in real estate. My wife, Jasmine, stayed at home with the kids, Maya, 7, and Caleb, 4. We had a nice house with a pool, an SUV in the driveway, and the kind of neighborhood where neighbors waved but didn't pry. Jasmine and I had been married for 9 years. She was beautiful, sharp, and knew how to work a room when she wanted to. But after the kids were born, things changed. Not overnight. Slowly. Conversations turned into instructions. Romance turned into routine. And somewhere along the way, we lost the warmth we used to have. That's when we decided to hire a nanny. Not full-time, just someone to help Jasmine for a few hours a day so she could breathe, run errands, maybe have time for herself again. Her name was Elise. She was 26, college-educated, great with kids, and had references that made her sound like Mary Poppins with a modern twist. She wasn't flashy. She didn't wear revealing clothes. Out of my way to avoid even a hint of impropriety. Yet here I was, being painted as the potential cheater. The days that followed were uncomfortable. Jasmine moved through the house with this strange satisfaction, like she'd won a battle I never agreed to fight. She seemed more relaxed, more in control, but not toward me. Toward herself. She had eliminated a threat, and now, in her mind, she was back in charge. I tried to understand her feelings. I offered reassurance. I told her, I'm with you. Always have been. But she didn't seem to care anymore. She wasn't cold, she was distracted. Detached. She started going out more. Getting dressed up for errands. Leaving her phone face down constantly. Her mood had improved, but her attention had vanished. From me. From the kids. From the home. I thought maybe she was going through something deeper, postpartum depression finally catching up, midlife anxiety, I didn't know. I even suggested we talk to someone. She laughed at that. I'm fine. Maybe you're the one who needs help. I didn't know it then, but Jasmine was already in the middle of an affair. While I was trying to keep our house and marriage in one piece, she was lying by the pool, sipping lemonade, and laughing with someone else. He came every Tuesday and Friday. Shirtless. Tanned. Muscles for days. I thought he was just cleaning the pool. Turns out, he was cleaning up after my life. There's a silence in a marriage that's louder than yelling. That was our house after Elise was fired. No slammed doors. No shouting matches. Just tension in the air, thick and invisible, like the air before a thunderstorm. I kept trying to fix things. I made Jasmine coffee in the mornings, offered to take the kids out more, even planned a weekend getaway for us, just the two of us, but every gesture landed flat. She would smile, but it wasn't the smile I fell in love with. It was polite. Mechanical. And then came the accusations. You looked at her like she was the one you wanted, Jasmine said one night while we were getting ready for bed. I was caught off guard. What? Elise. You used to laugh with her, make conversation. I saw the way you looked at her, Ethan. I sat down slowly. Jazz. I've never done anything inappropriate. I've been careful, too careful, not to give you a reason to doubt me. She crossed her arms. You're telling me you didn't enjoy having a younger woman around the house? Someone prettier, thinner, funnier? Don't do that, I said gently. That's not fair. She didn't cry. Didn't yell. Just stared at me for a few seconds like she didn't know who I was anymore. The worst part? I started to wonder if I was the crazy one. Had I smiled too long at Elisa's stories? Was there some energy I gave off without realizing? Was Jasmine just picking up on something I didn't even know I was projecting? That's what gaslighting feels like when it's wrapped in guilt and love. But here's what I didn't know then. While Jasmine was accusing me of wanting Elise, she was sleeping with Marco, the pool guy. I remember the day I started to suspect something. It was a Tuesday. Marco always came Tuesdays and Fridays to clean the pool and check the filter system. That day, I got home from a showing early, around 2:30 p.m. I pulled into the driveway and saw the pool gate open, but Marco's truck wasn't in front. I walked around back. No one was there. But two things stood out immediately. First, Jasmine's robe was hanging over a chair near the pool. Second, her phone was still playing music through a Bluetooth speaker. Jazz? I called out. No answer. I checked inside. She was in the shower. I didn't think much of it then. Maybe she'd gone for a quick swim. But something didn't sit right. The robe was dry, no wet towel in sight. Just her robe, sunglasses, and From that moment on, I started seeing things I didn't want to see. She'd get texts late at night and turn the phone over. She suddenly started locking her phone, something she never used to do. And when I finally asked about it, "Who's Marco to you?" her reaction wasn't denial. It was rage. "How dare you accuse me," she shouted, her voice rising for the first time in weeks. "You think I'd ever do something like that? After what you did with the nanny?" I blinked. What I did with Elise? "Jasmine, I didn't do anything." "Oh please," she snapped. "You think I didn't see the way she batted her eyes at you? You ate it up." It hit me then. She wasn't just suspicious. She was guilty. And she needed a reason to justify what she was doing. She needed me to be the villain so she wouldn't have to admit that she was betraying our marriage. That she was inviting another man into our home, into our life, while tearing me down for something I never even did. The arguments became more frequent after that. She started disappearing for errands that lasted hours. She wore perfume to the gym. She came home with her hair freshly washed like she'd showered somewhere else. And the kids, they started asking questions too. "Mommy's friend with the tattoos came over today," Maya said one afternoon while coloring. I felt the blood drain from my face. Marco had tattoos up both arms. I didn't confront Jasmine that day. I needed more than suspicions. I needed the truth, cold and clear. And part of me still clung to the hope that I was wrong. That Jasmine was just going through something. That she'd come back to me. But deep down, I already knew. I'd spent weeks being accused of a fantasy affair, while my wife was living a real one. With the guy who skimmed the leaves from our pool. There's a moment in every man's life where his gut whispers the truth before his brain is ready to accept it. Mine came in the form of a crumpled receipt. It was early afternoon. Jasmine had just left with the kids for a play date, and I sat in the kitchen drinking coffee, trying to steady myself. The house was still, but my head was buzzing with questions. What if I was wrong? What if I let suspicion ruin my marriage? But then I saw it, left carelessly on the counter. A receipt from a boutique hotel downtown. 1 room. 1 night. Paid in cash. Yesterday's date. The name on the receipt was Marco R. I didn't even need the last name. There it was. In black and white. The truth Jasmine had been burying beneath jealousy and projection. She was having an affair. And she'd been gaslighting me while doing it. All the late-night accusations about Elise. The cold shoulder. The turned phone. It wasn't love gone cold, it was guilt trying to keep itself alive. I sat with the receipt for a long time, staring at it like it could explain how we got here. How a woman who once cried through our wedding vows was now sleeping with the man who came to clean our pool. When she came home later that evening, I didn't say anything at first. I waited. I wanted to see if she would lie again. She kissed me on the cheek. How was your day? Fine, I said. She dropped her keys and purse, humming softly as she went into the kitchen. She didn't notice the receipt was missing. I followed her. Did you take the kids out to lunch? Yeah, she said, pouring water into a glass. Just McDonald's. Nothing exciting. I nodded. And after that? She hesitated. Just went to Target for a bit. They were getting restless. I pulled the receipt from my pocket and placed it gently on the counter. Her face didn't even flinch. She looked down at it, read it slowly, and then leaned against the sink. You went through my stuff? That's what you're leading with? I asked quietly. That's your defense? She didn't answer. She just stared at me, her eyes full of something that wasn't guilt, but exhaustion. Like she was tired of pretending. You've been sleeping with him, I said. It wasn't a question anymore. She sighed. It was just supposed to be a distraction. A distraction? I repeated. From what? Our marriage? Our kids? No, she said quickly. From you. From feeling invisible. From watching you laugh with Elise. From thinking I was just the woman you came home to while your heart wandered somewhere else. I took a step back. I never touched Elise. I never wanted Elise. You created that in your head. You painted me as the cheater so you could feel justified. She didn't deny it. Didn't even apologize. She just said, I didn't plan for it to happen. Marco, he noticed me. I felt seen again. I wanted to scream. I wanted to throw something, punch a wall, ask why she didn't just talk to me, but all I could do was stand there. Feeling like a fool. Like the man who had spent months trying to fix a marriage while his wife was destroying it behind his back. The worst part? She looked relieved that I knew. Like the truth had finally let her breathe again. I don't want to lie anymore, she said quietly. I nodded. Good. Because I can't live in this lie. We didn't fight that night. We just sat in silence, facing the wreckage. Our kids were asleep upstairs. The pool lights shimmered in the backyard, soft and blue and mocking. The man she betrayed me with might have walked those very tiles just hours earlier. And I? I was starting to realize that love, no matter how deep, can drown in silence, suspicion, and selfishness. But the story wasn't over yet. Because Jasmine wasn't done. Not by a long shot. I used to think the truth was the finish line. You discover it, confront it, and move on. But I was wrong. The truth is just the start of the war. After that night in the kitchen, after Jasmine finally admitted to the affair, something inside me shifted. I wasn't angry in the loud, explosive way you see in movies. No yelling. No shattered glasses. I was quiet. Detached. She stayed in the guest room. I slept with one eye open. And the worst part? The kids still thought everything was normal. Daddy, can Marco come over again? My youngest asked that morning while eating cereal. I nearly choked. It took everything in me not to let the pain show in front of them. But inside, my stomach turned. "He's not coming around anymore," I said calmly, trying to smile. "Why not?" she asked. "Because I said so." It was the first time I'd ever heard my voice sound like my own father's, cold and final. Jasmine barely made eye contact that day. She got the kids ready, packed lunches, smiled like a programmed robot. But there was something else in her, a hint of defiance. Like she believed I wouldn't do anything. That I'd stay, swallow it, and move on. She underestimated me. The betrayal burned too deep. So that night, I made a decision. I texted Elise, the nanny we had let go months ago because Jasmine claimed I was too friendly with her. The poor girl was blindsided when Jasmine fired her. No explanation. Just a check and a "don't come back." I figured she deserved the truth, too. "Hey Elise, it's Ethan. I owe you an apology. I need to talk. If you're open to it." She replied within minutes. I always knew something was off. "Sure. I'm free tomorrow." We met at a little cafe outside town. I told her everything, Jasmine's accusations, the affair with Marco, the hotel receipt. Elisa's eyes widened. "She accused you of cheating? With me?" "Yeah." She scoffed. "I've never even been alone in a room with you." "I know," I said. She needed a reason to do what she was already doing. Elise shook her head. "And Marco? The pool guy? Wow. That's rich." We sat there in a quiet pause, letting it all sink in. "You don't deserve that," she said finally. No one had said that to me yet. Not even friends. They just gave me awkward nods and changed the subject. But Elise looked me in the eye and said it like she meant it. "You deserved someone who would fight for you, not against you." The next few days were a blur. Jasmine started getting restless. I wasn't engaging. I wasn't asking questions. I wasn't even arguing. I was just existing. But she could feel the distance growing like a fault line. I said I was sorry, she told me one night while folding laundry. "You don't talk to me anymore. Because I don't trust you." She flinched, like the words physically struck her. "So what, we just live like this?" "I'm still deciding." She didn't expect that. She expected rage, tears, maybe even an affair of my own. But not this cold, measured calm. I was calculating now. Watching. Waiting. Because there was something else that didn't sit right with me. Why did Marco feel so comfortable around our house? Why were there so many receipts, spanning months? Had it started before the nanny was even fired? Had Elise been a convenient scapegoat for something Jasmine had already been hiding? I went through our home security archives. We had cameras facing the front and side yard. I never used to check them, I trusted her. But now? Now I was looking for ghosts. And I found them. Time-stamped footage from 2 months before Elise was fired. Marco's truck parked out front. In the middle of a weekday. While I was at work. While the kids were at school. And Jasmine? She met him at the door in nothing but a robe. No pool skimmer. No tools. No reason to be there. I stopped the footage right there. It was enough. The next day, I gave her a choice. We either go to therapy, or we go to court. She stared at me. "Are you threatening me?" "No," I said. "I'm giving you the last decision you'll get in this marriage." Her face broke. "Ethan." "I saw the footage, Jasmine. I know it started long before you blamed Elise. You didn't cheat because you were jealous. You were jealous because you cheated." She fell into a chair like the wind had been knocked out of her. "No more excuses. No more gaslighting. Just the truth. Raw. Ugly. Real. That was the night everything collapsed for good. Not with a bang, but with silence. I slept better that night than I had in weeks. But there was still one more chapter left to write. One that neither of us saw coming. I always thought endings would come with fireworks, doors slammed, clothes tossed from second-story windows, maybe even a scene on the front lawn. But this ending? It came on a rainy Thursday. Quiet. Sober. Still. Jasmine stood at the kitchen counter, staring at a cup of coffee she never drank. I had already moved most of my things into a short-term rental across town. The kids were staying with her for now, until the lawyers and mediators helped us figure out the arrangement. We hadn't fought again since the last time. We hadn't cried either. Everything between us had just gone flat. Like a balloon left out in the sun. You don't notice it deflating until it's almost empty. I stepped into the kitchen one last time to collect the spare car keys. "You sure this is what you want?" Jasmine asked, not looking at me. "No," I said honestly. "But it's what I need." She finally looked up. And for the first time in weeks, I saw the woman I married. Not the one who betrayed me. Not the one who blamed the nanny or pretended everything was fine. But the woman who used to make me breakfast on Saturdays. Who used to fall asleep on my shoulder during movies. Who used to kiss my forehead for no reason at all. That woman was still buried in there somewhere. But I wasn't her husband anymore. Not after what happened. Not after everything we both said, and didn't say. "I never meant to lose you," she whispered. I nodded. "But you did." And with that, I turned and walked out, just the soft sound of rain on the roof as I pulled away. 2 months later. Life didn't magically become easier. Divorce is messy, even when it's quiet. The kids asked a lot of questions. I told them the truth in pieces, age-appropriate and gentle. Jasmine and I shared custody without incident, but we rarely spoke outside of pickups and drop-offs. She never brought up Marco again. I never asked. But I heard through a friend that it fizzled fast. Apparently, the thrill died once there were no secrets left to hide behind. And as for me? I focused on healing. Therapy, jogging in the mornings, long drives on empty roads. It's amazing how loud your mind becomes when you finally get quiet with yourself. I started writing again, something I hadn't done in years. At first, just journaling. But eventually, I began documenting my story. Not for revenge. Not to hurt Jasmine. But to reclaim my voice. To understand how I let it all get this far. How I lost myself in being a husband, a father, a provider, until I couldn't recognize the man in the mirror. And then, something unexpected happened. One evening, while picking up the kids, Elise was there. Jasmine had apparently asked her to babysit during an emergency work call. It was awkward at first. We exchanged hellos. The kids ran up, excited as ever. "And Elise?" She smiled. The same smile I remembered. Later that night, she messaged me. "You look happier. Lighter." I replied. "I'm getting there." We started talking more. Nothing romantic, not yet. Just two people who had been caught in the storm, finding shelter in shared experience. She told me how she felt used, discarded by Jasmine's false jealousy. I told her how betrayal leaves a mark, even after the wound closes. But for the first time in a long time, I didn't feel alone. Looking back. I tell this story now not to shame anyone, but to remind people how fast resentment can grow if left unchecked. Jasmine didn't cheat because the nanny was too close to me. She cheated because she was already lost. And I didn't see it. Because I was too focused on surviving to notice we were sinking. So if you're reading this, or listening, or watching, here's what I hope you take away. Pay attention. Don't ignore the small shifts. The deflected glances. The odd silences. Don't pretend you're okay when you're not. And if someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. Marriage is built on trust. Once that trust is broken, you're not repairing a marriage. You're building something entirely new, and sometimes, it's better to start over than to rebuild on rotten ground. As for me, I'm still learning. Still healing. Still hoping. But I'm no longer bitter. Because sometimes the truth breaks you, yes. But it also sets you free. That's the end.